Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's one of those time zones. And Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to the Chicken Box. I'm Frances Tony Draper, along with my co host, Ashley Fields. Our other co host, Impeccable, is not with us today. Today is his birthday. And that's our producer, Taryn, with all of the sound effects. Thanks, Taryn. But he says to the Chicken Box family, he wanted me to let everyone know um, that he says Happy New Year. Glad that you are with us on today. If you are just joining us, this may be your first time. Yes, it is Chicken Box with two X's. And our tagline is Don't be a chicken, get on the box. It's a place where we talk about a variety of things and it's interactive. If you are watching us on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, we hope you'll weigh in. Let us know that you're there. We're so glad that you are with us on today. And so we're going to chat maybe for 40 minutes, maybe for 30 minutes. One thing about it being our show, Ashley, we can chat for as long or as little as we would like to. And it's an intergenerational show. And so, Ashley, why don't you introduce yourself and then introduce our guests?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here today. I'm at a restaurant, so you guys might hear a little bit of music in the background. I apologize for that. But my name is Ashley. I currently serve as the Afro's assistant editor. I'm based in DC, and it's just been an amazing journey so far, interviewing people, getting to know people. And today we're getting to know a very special guest whose name is Natasha Paris. So Natasha Paris is a highly rated trainer and speaker, and she is known to many as an empowerment strategist, where she inspires girls and young women to command attention, stand proudly, increase their mental health, wholeness, and become standout learners using her self-empowerment formula. So we are excited to welcome her today so she can talk about New Year's resolutions and how we can become our best self. So welcome, Natasha. Thank you so much for hopping on. We can't see you. I'm sorry. If you could turn your camera on.
There
How
she
you
is.
doing? There you go. We love
Yes.
you.
Hello. And
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hi,
How's your
Natasha.
New Year?
Welcome. We're so glad that you are with us today on the Chicken Box on this fourth day of a brand new year. So
Yes.
I mentioned earlier that this is an intergenerational show. If Impeccable were on, he would say he's representing Gen X, and Ashley would say she's representing
Z.
Gen Z, and I would say I'm in between. I call myself a millennial boomer. And so, Natasha, where do you fall on the generational scale? Where do
I
you
am
millennial?
say that again.
The millennial?
No. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I would say that I am in between as well. Like
Okay.
closer to the I'm in my mid 40s. So what would that be? Like
Well, that would probably be a Gen X.
oh, that would be okay. Never considered myself to be a Gen X, but okay.
I think. And you know what? We can just be who we are, right?
Absolutely.
But we have this show intergenerationally because we bring different perspectives sometimes to the subject matter. And
Yes.
so Ashley's in a restaurant, and we're going to join her for lunch in a little bit.
Yes.
Thanks, Ashley, for the invite. And so, Ashley, we're talking about Black people versus New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
Do you make resolutions, Ashley?
I do make resolutions. I have two this year. My first is to exercise more consistently. As we know, health is a major issue in the Black community. And then my second is to go to church more, be more of an active servant. I attend New Bethel Baptist here in DC. And so I just want to find my way in the church and see where I fit.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. I do not make New Year's resolutions. I try to make a resolution be my best self every day, but I don't make New Year's resolutions of sorts. Natasha, you are a trainer. You are also a licensed clinical therapist, and so you have a practice there. Tell us a little bit more about that whole combination of trainer and therapist, and you can throw in a little bit about New Year's resolutions, but just tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, happy new year to everyone. Thank you so much for having me on this show. Super excited about this. Okay, so I am a licensed clinician and I have been for about 24 years. And I have a practice, and my practice is located in DC, but I have a lot of online clients, especially during COVID, that became more prominent and more prevalent. And so I was able to accommodate many people who had needs. And as a licensed clinician, I am really in the arena of not just providing support for people individually, but for organizations and also for corporations along the lines of really talking about the importance of mental health and also the place of being in a place where wellness is something that's talked about. There's levels of comfort that's present. And so I not only provide therapy, but I also train and I talk about the importance of being your better self. And so when we look at New Year's and we look at these resolutions, oftentimes what I often say to and I'm also a podcaster because I believe that it's so important to spread the message. No matter where you go, you will see me talking about wellness and emotional empowerment. Okay. And so, with that said, my goal is truly to educate and to empower. And so, when we talk about New Year's resolutions, I often say, most people by January 15th, it's all done. They're like, whatever happened to your New Year's resolution? And it falls to the wayside, right? Research says by January 15th, most people have forego all of their New Year's resolutions. But I'm more in the place of become a new person, become a new you, right? And how do you do that? And how do you stick to that? Well, we're going to talk about that, right? And it's great to have a New Year's resolution because it does give you this energetic motivation to reset your life, right? To press that reset button and say, okay, I'm going to do something that I didn't do the year before, and I'm going to try my best to stick to it. But oftentimes people have a difficult time with that stick to itness, right? Being in that place of saying, okay, I want to do this, but why is it that I'm falling to the wayside and I'm doing the same thing that I did last year? And so that's my goal for today, is to really talk about how to maximize that place where you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be committed, and I'm going to be courageous. I have my 3 C's, right? Courageous as it relates to moving forward.
All right, that's great. Let's talk about your last C first. Let's talk a little bit about what it takes to be courageous, because I think that is important. And so, while I don't make New Year's resolutions, I always have goals.
Mhm.
So but they may be mid-year goals, they may be beginning of the year goals. They're daily goals, really. But talk about what it takes to be courageous.
Oh my goodness, that is such a powerful word. Such a powerful word, Dr. Francis, because when we talk about courageousness, it is doing something that you are terrified in doing, that you are worrisome in doing, that you have hesitation in doing, but doing it anyways, despite those fears. And that's the definition in my book of courageousness, and making a decision, because it has to start with a decision. It has to start with you saying, I am going to do this and I'm going to write it down. Even though I don't see myself losing those 20 pounds, or I don't see myself, going to service, as you said earlier, right? Going to church service every Sunday and being active because I didn't do it before, but going in a place of a level of discomfort, because usually change happens when there's a little discomfort happening, right? And there's a little hesitation. And so to be courageous is really making a decision, and making a decision to do it one day at a time, right? They ask that question, how do you eat a hippopotamus? One bite at a time, right? Yes.
That is true. That is true. So what keeps people from doing that? What makes us more timid than courageous?
Fear.
Fear.
Fear of the unknown,
Mhm.
fear that you wouldn't be successful. And not only just fear, what people have said to you about accomplishing goals, right? And it all goes right back to what was told to you as a child.
Mm.
What did you see? And I always go back to that because we have to understand the foundation in which our house was built on, right? Our house being us. And so if the foundation is not very strong, or there's levels of insecurity, or there's levels of intimidation, sometimes it makes just the small goals difficult to obtain and be consistent with. And so oftentimes I often say, begin to look at what are the things that are causing you to not be consistent to you, right? Because these goals are not goals for anyone else, but they're goals for yourself. And if they're goals for yourself, why is it that you're more likely, right, to follow through? Because you are the ride or die, right? You ride or die for your friends, you ride or die for your family, you are ride or die for everyone else, but you have a hard time being a ride or die for yourself. And then you have to ask yourself, why? Why is it that you are willing to forego what means or matters most to you, right? Why are you willing to forego that, but then provide all that support for everyone else? So I go a whole lot deeper than just the surface, because if I can uproot that right straight from the root, then I can honestly get you to a place where you're going to be consistent with most of your goals, and not just a resolution goal, but a lifetime long-term goal.
That makes a lot of sense. So, Ashley, you look like you're ready to ask a question or make a comment.
Some people, push too hard towards their goals, and, they burn out, and other people are less intense. And then some people are right there in the middle. And so I wanted to ask what you recommend to find balance in your routine as you're trying to pursue these new lifelong or year-long goals. And also if you could connect that back to your self-empowerment formula that you mentioned earlier, and just letting us know how those two coincide.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Ashley. All right. So you have oftentimes people, and I do lots of presentations, and I work with female executives along the lines of burnout, because they have these goals that they've set out for themselves, and they find themselves being exhausted if they're not achieving those goals in a timely manner according to what they've set out for themselves. And so the best way to really move in that direction is to write things out. It's not complicated. And I have an empowerment formula that I've created that I utilize to support many of my clients and organizations as a whole collectively. I say that if I can get you to look at what you are thinking about, then I can change what you are feeling. And then your feelings dictate your behavior. And then your behaviors dictate habitual behavior. Right? And so if I can look at your thought process, and the only way for yourself, without a clinician like myself, the only way that you can do that for you is to write it down, because it's easier to say it. But when you begin to write it down, there's something about the senses, right? You're activating not just the visual sense, but you're activating the tactile, right? Right. And then you can actually, and it sounds kind of weird, but you can hear yourself in your thoughts. So that is another sensory. And so when you are activating those senses, the brain really goes to work, and you begin to write down things that you did not even think about before, because now you're tapping into something much more than what was on the surface. So what would I say to you, Ashley, and everyone else that's listening, is to begin to write down, what do you want? And I often say, write down 5 things that you want to do in this lifetime. 5. And I break it down in categories. I break it down in relationships. What do you foresee yourself doing in a relationship, whether it's a family relationship or a love relationship? How much money do you want to make? right? Because we lose the imagination as we get older, right? My son, who's now 17, when he was 6, you couldn't tell him that he was not Spider-Man. He was climbing on walls and trying to climb on I'm like, what are you doing? But his sense of imagination was so robust, was so full that he honestly believed it. But as we get older, we lose that sense of imagination. So I say, how much money do you want to make? What career goals do you want to obtain? Right? Where do you want to travel to? Right? In addition to that, what does that look like when it comes to spiritual goals? Right? So when you look at those goals, just write down, what do I want to do? 5 things per category. 5 goals per category. When you start writing those things down, your imagination kicks in. And then there's a sense of hope that, oh, maybe I could do that. Right? And then there's this level of increased self-esteem, because what we know self-esteem is being able to be successful at a task and gaining a sense of security within yourself. If you're following what I'm saying, I know I'm kind of throwing some things out there, right? But that's really, so to put it very lightly, is to write it down, right? Write it down, create a vision board, all of those things that allow you to see your goals in front of you, and it causes you to be consistent with it. If that answered, was I able to answer your question?
Yes.
I know I kind of gave a really broad.
No, but that's.
I'm sorry, Ashley, say that again.
No, I said that was a really good answer, and it was helpful to me. It reminded me too of what I heard earlier this week, which was, just making a big goal really small. So if you have a goal of drinking 5 glasses of water per day, and you do it for 5 days, you notice that that's a win for you, and it boosts your self-esteem. Or if you have a goal of, taking a walk every day, and you do it every day for 3 weeks, it's a small goal, but it's a win. So it reminded me a lot of that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Francis, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to just answer your question. I think that was very, very helpful. And Ashley, adding on to small goals, wins do, I think, motivate people to keep going.
Yes.
That
So,
attitude.
right. So if I understand you correctly, sometimes, you can make a big goal, but then break it down to a smaller goal, but actually do it.
Actually do it. And just a little at a time, right? Just a little at a time. And even if, when it comes to drinking water, right? I have a trainer, and he says that everyone needs to drink half their body weight. So fantastic, right? I see you, I have mine, so we all have ours. Fantastic. So if you are 100 pounds, you drink 50 ounces of water, not 50 pounds, 50 ounces of water a day. And 50 ounces, if you do the calculations, if you have the 16 ounce, right? What's 50 divided, 16 times 3 or whatever that is. And you're like, oh, it's just 3 cups of this. I got that, right? So just breaking it down and making it very simple, and not, and this is what I often say when it comes to New Year's resolutions and goals and lifetime goals, is have and give yourself grace. We're not perfect, right? Grace is what is needed when we feel like, oh my goodness, I'm being too hard on myself, right? Give yourself grace and say, you know what? I didn't drink my 3 cups or, bottles of water. That's okay. I'll get to it tomorrow. Because no one is going to be behind you crucifying you because you didn't have your 3 bottles of water, right? Because oftentimes we can be our biggest critic, and we can really we can knock ourselves down, and our friends are like, what's the big deal? Like, you're so emotional about the fact that you didn't have 3 bottles of water, right? So give yourself some grace.
That's great advice. Listen, if you're just tuning in, this is a Chicken Box powered by the Afro-American newspaper. We just go by Afro News. We are the DMV's oldest Black business, 3rd oldest Black business in the entire country. And our business is media and getting messages out. And so we do quite a few podcasts ourselves, But today we're in a chicken box with a very, very, very special guest. And so we're so glad that Natasha Paris is with us. Is that your whole name? I see the Saint Amand. Is it Natasha Paris Saint Amand? That's your.
Oh, and you pronounced it so beautifully. Okay.
I'm sure you get everything.
No, but you did a fantastic job. Saint Amand. Yes, that's correct.
Amand. So it's a beautiful name. Who is a licensed therapist and trainer, who is headquartered in DC. What's the name of your business, Natasha?
Okay, well, it's Natasha Paris Enterprises, and that encompasses, what I do as a trainer, as a empowerment speaker, as a podcaster. So it's Natasha Paris Enterprises, just a larger umbrella of what it is that I do, and what's consistent is wellness and emotional wholeness. Being in a place where I can spread the message that it's okay to not be okay, one, but two, it's okay to be your greatest self beyond what you could ever imagine.
So I'm gonna get back to the trainer part, but let me say another thing to our viewers. Please put your comments in the chat. We've seen a couple of comments, and so we want to welcome you to the Chicken Box. This is interactive, and so if you have a question, you have a comment for Natasha, listen, if you had to make an appointment with her, I am sure, and have your own just private time, therapists and trainers want to help you, but it's also a business. That's why I asked her about her business. So here you have a free opportunity, if you will, to get your question at least answered somewhat, as much as you can, because she would go much deeper in a one-on-one. So Natasha, tell us a little bit about the trainer part of your business.
So what I do as a trainer, and in addition to what you were saying, or to piggyback on what you were saying, Dr. Francis, is that I also am offering free 30-minute consultations for any of your guests who are interested in gaining some more insight into what it is that I can support them with. In addition, for those, and I would love to give out a free gift to 5, maybe let's say 10 of your viewers. By the end, if they stay to the very end, I will gift them a 12-month emotional health calendar, a mental wellness, emotional health calendar that myself and my team have created that will allow you from January to December, giving you goals and giving you tips, as well as interactive activities in which you can do per month as it relates to emotional wholeness and wellness. And so I will give 10 of your viewers that information, and we can send it directly to their email. And of course, the host here, Dr. Francis and Miss Ashley, I will also give you that 12-month calendar as well.
Thank you. So the viewers, how do we determine who those 10 are, and how do they?
Well, that would be up to you, right? Because you did say it's interactive, right?
So if you're watching this broadcast live now, or if you happen to catch it later, and the 10 are the 8 left. 8 of the 12-month emotional health calendars that Natasha and her team and I have produced, and you'd like to have one of those, put in the chat and say, hold one for me. Just say, hold one for me. If you put that in the chat right now, hey, Laura Phillips-Bird, see that you've signed on, and I saw someone else right before that, but it flashed too quickly. Just put that in there. Just say, maybe let me change it. Say, I want one. If you say, I want one, that's easy. I want one. What do you want one of? You want this emotional health calendar, and then we'll have to get back in contact. Yeah, I want one for your copy, and we'll let Natasha know. Natasha, is it Dr. Natasha? We want to honor your credentials as well.
No, not at the current juncture. It is Natasha Paris St. Amand. I'm a licensed clinician. Yes.
Okay. So, all right, good. All right. So look, you're getting people who want them. One person put it, I want one, hold me one. She put a whole lot of things in there. So Diane, you have one coming. Delois, You have one coming, Ashley.
Yes, yes. If they can add their email address, I can make sure that my team sends it directly to them. So if they can add their email address and your producers can make sure that we get a copy of that, that would be fantastic.
All right, you can do it. I think you can do a private chat if you don't want it all over the place, but you can also put it right there, and we will make sure you. So now, not only do you have to say you want one, now you have to give us your email address, please, so we can send. Oh, there you go. Send it to tatkinson@afro.com. That's for Taryn.
Fantastic. See, I knew your producers are on target. They're on
target, right? Send your email to tatkinson. It's on the screen at afro.com, and just say, I want one, and we'll know what you mean. But now they're almost half gone. So,
no, you know what? For all of your viewers, let's just give it to all of your viewers.
Right. Everybody's getting it. But you still have to send your email because we will not know who you are. Okay. And so we were talking about the training part.
Yes.
Did you finish with that? I know we saw it.
No, I did not.
I didn't think so. Go right on.
Okay. So as a trainer, what I do is I currently have several different contracts around the city and also the country. I have a current contract with Department of Employment Services where I work with the transitional youth on leadership, confidence, and emotional wellness. I currently have a contract where I train with the NOVA, which is a Northern Virginia Community College. And so I do lots of trainings for them as well. And then as it relates to emotional wellness, we have a training coming up online that will be taking place in February. In addition to that, I also do lots of trainings online as well. And that is usually through LinkedIn. I do audio events where I literally, so every first and third Tuesday of every month, I do a training. And so if you are on LinkedIn, you can follow me and you can definitely participate in those trainings, and they are free of charge. I go through I have another one that talks about depression and anxiety, burnout, how to deal with burnout as it relates to being an executive or as it relates to being a boss, right? You know, what we often know is that when we take on these tasks of wanting to help so many people and wanting to be in a better place, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us, it can be enormous, right? That weight can be very heavy. And so I offer trainings in that regard as well. And for any organizations that might be listening right now, and they say that I would love for you to come in or either virtually or in person and speak to my, the people that I provide support for or my organization, I would love to do that. So I do trainings along that. And then in addition to that, I have some keynote speaking opportunities happening very, very soon. I have one in February. I have another one in March that's going to be taking place in London, UK. Super excited about that. And so, my goal truly is to spread the message. And as many platforms I'm able to spread that message, I'm there engaging individuals, engaging organizations, and your viewers as well, as we're doing it right now.
Well, great. We're glad to have you. If you're just tuning in, this is the Chicken Box with 2 X's, powered by the Afro-American newspapers. I'm Frances Tony Draper, Afro CEO and publisher, along with my wonderful co-host, Ashley Fields, who is our assistant editor based in DC. I am in Baltimore, Maryland. Afro.com is all over the world. So we hope that you'll go to Afro.com and subscribe to our free newsletter, but also take out a paid subscription for $40 a year, guys. $40, you can get the digital edition. And so follow us on social, all of those good things that we always say every single week. And so we're happy that you are here. Natasha, we're glad that you are with us. It sounds like you are a busy person. You're doing trainings all over the world. You're doing podcasts. You have individual clients. I'm going to ask you about your own work-life balance. How do you balance all of that?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a New Yorker and I'm West Indian. So
It's in your blood. That's what
It's
you're
in
letting us
my
know.
blood. It's in my
Yes.
blood.
I
Right.
wanted to
But seriously, I'm also a mother of two. I am a mother of a 13-year-old little girl. Well, she's not so little anymore, and a 17-year-old teenage male, my son. And I'm also in a relationship. So super excited about that as well. And so with that said, how do I balance all of that? How do I balance it? Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this. First thing that I do is I make time to prioritize my well-being first thing in the morning. So, I have a routine, I have a schedule, I stick to it. And so I am up by 5:30 in the morning. Okay. And so I meditate and I pray. I have to make sure that I'm centered because I know that I'm constantly giving out, right? And so you can't give if you are empty. That is very, very important. And so I make sure that I'm spiritually aligned and I am ready for the world, ready for what God has told me to do and how to support as many individuals as possible. And then I'm off to the gym, right? I'm off to the gym. And then literally like my calendar is which is on my phone is how I dictate my day. Like things are written out and I make sure that I get enough sleep, at least 6 to 7 to 8 hours, usually about 6 to 7 hours a day. And how do I balance it? By writing things down and giving myself grace and knowing that if I did not get to that task, it's okay. I can do it tomorrow. Right. And in addition to that, I make sure that I make time for my family and my friends. All of those things are important to me. Spending time with family and friends and spending time alone is important to me as well. Sometimes I'll go and I book a hotel room for a couple of days, for 2 days, and it's just me, myself, and I. That's an opportunity for me to get centered. And so, I do have a very busy lifestyle, but I know that this is what I've chosen to do. And because I've chosen to do this, I know that that comes with a level of responsibility and commitment. And I meal prep. I do that as well, right? Because I'm not cooking every day. I'm a mom that cooks. So I do a lot of cooking on Sunday. And so I meal prep that as well. So there are things that in order for me to do what I do, I have to be organized. When I'm not organized, I find that that's when I feel more stressed. I feel more anxious, right? And so that's not where I want to be. So I make sure that organization is a huge part of my daily living.
Wow, you said a lot.
I know, golden nuggets.
Oh, that was great. That was great. I hope people picked up all of those nuggets. And
but what resonated for you, Dr. Francis?
well, something that you keep saying, and people call me Tony, and you don't have to call me.
Okay.
Even though the doctor is there, our producer is wonderful. So, what resonated with me is something that I do, and I think that a lot of people do, is writing things. I'm a write it down kind of person. I've got on my desk now all kinds of things and I'll write them down as they come to me. But I think that resonates. Writing things down, being as organized as you can be. Everybody's organizational system is not the same, right? Everybody doesn't organize the same way. I can go to somebody's whatever and say, oh, why don't you organize it this way? And they say, wait a minute, I can find everything that I need organized the way I have it organized. But the fact that you're saying be organized is really important. And the other thing that you mentioned, you didn't use these words, but being intentional. So intentional about the obligations that you have and how you're going to fulfill them as a mother of Spider-Man, as a mother who cooks, right? A mother who works, a mother who also has relationships, and a person who understands where your fuel comes from.
Yes.
For some of us, depending on your personality type, right? Some of us go into a hotel. I'm with you. Going someplace for a couple of days with me, myself, and I is very energizing. For other people, that would drive them crazy. They need to be in the company of a whole lot of people in order to be refueled and re-energized. So what I take from what you said is you got to know yourself and then be true to who You are. How about you, Ashley? What did you hear? What's percolating? Your eyes look like, ooh, I got a lot of questions. What's percolating for
Well,
you?
for me, I resonate with waking up early. I think that's one thing that I love. I'm definitely somebody who loves time to myself. So, not a lot of people can get up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and hang and, get up and go to the gym and, do the tasks that they have to for the day. So, I really appreciated that piece and just knowing how that puts you ahead. Also, the piece about going to the gym, I want to walk every day and make sure I'm getting my steps in. And so, that's something I definitely resonated with as well. You mentioned being a mother and also being in a relationship. And we know that many Black women are the backbone of their families. And so I wanted to ask or put it out on the table how in the new year you can separate your goals as an individual from your goals for your family or other people who you support in your life.
So thank you, Ashley. So the question is, just to make sure that I'm clear, is how do I separate my professional goals from my personal goals? Is
Your
that
personal goals from maybe your goals for your family or people that like your children or that you're in a relationship with.
yes? Yes,
Right. Goals
absolutely.
for
So
others.
that goes back, yeah, thank you. That goes back to, for those who are just joining, that goes back to what I had said earlier, that I write everything down, right? So I'm big on those 5 categories, right? Relationships. What I write down those goals for my relationships, right? I write down those goals for, when I say relationships, I'm talking about family relationships, love relationships, spirituality, career, right? And then, travel or, not just travel, but things that I want to do. And so I will incorporate that. And so I write down what I want to do. And then when it comes to like my family and my children, I'm already planning for our summer trips, right? I'm already planning for summer vacation and asking my kids, what do you want to do this year? Right? We went to Jamaica for 8 days in August. Had a blast. And they understand. And one of the things that I often do is I have conversations with my children. I have conversations with my children. They see when I'm on live. They'll say, "Mom, you didn't get on live. You weren't on live. You didn't get on live for the past 2 days." Like they they understand what it is that I do. And I've heard actors or people in the industry of entertainment say that they bring their children along, so the children know what it is that they do. Nothing is hidden. And so it becomes a family event. It becomes, over the holiday break, I adopted a family. I adopted a mother with 3 children, a single mother with children under the age of 7. And that was something that we had decided to do as a family. And and we bought the gifts together, we wrapped the gifts together, and we delivered the gifts together, right? My children travel with me occasionally, right? And they see what I do. And sometimes my son will he would edit my podcast, right? So it becomes a family business, right? Because now they're involved, they understand the mission that mom is on, and it doesn't look like work to them so much. But I also know that carving out time for just us is important.
Oh, thank
That's
you. And then I do just ask what the name of your podcast is. If you could share that where people could, go back and listen to these tips and stuff and where it's available.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is Empower You 2 podcast. It's just EMPOWER, the number 2 and the letter U. And it's available on 16 different social media platforms, such as Amazon. Sorry, my voice is a little cracky. Amazon, Apple, Google. I mean, you name it, it's on there. So Empower You 2 podcast by Natasha Paris, Saint Amand.
Oh, there it is. All right there on the screen. That's wonderful. And so, podcasts on 16 different platforms. Tell us a little bit more about your podcast. Is it a weekly podcast, a daily podcast? How often do you do your podcasts?
Okay, so we just launched our 51st episode that dropped today. Okay, and so I have two parts of my podcast, and so the first part It is released every Tuesday. All right. And it's an affirmation podcast, right? So it's part of my podcast, but it's part of my affirmation series where and I'm also a trained certified meditation instructor. And so I practice mindfulness, and I wanted to incorporate that into my Empower YouTube podcast. And so on Tuesdays, it's usually about 12 minutes, and I teach people how to be centered, and I teach them how to affirm the things that they may want for their life, right? And so that drops on Tuesdays. And then on Friday mornings, I have either a podcast where I'm interviewing someone, which could also be, seen on YouTube, or it's just me talking to individuals. So my podcast really is geared towards individuals who have suffered a level of loss, heartbreak, grief, trauma. And right now, today, they are saying, I want more. I want to renew and restore all of the things that have been lost in that place that I was, where I lost. Now I'm in a place where I'm like, I want so much more. And so I talk to those individuals who say, I just want more. And it's really all predicated on emotional wellness, emotional health, with a spiritual component connected to it.
Wonderful. And so my theme is, I tell people now, there's more in 24. So I'm glad to hear you say something about more. There's more joy, more love, more peace, more in 24 for all of us, if we just tap into that, that source. And I'm glad to hear you talk about the wholeness, WHOLE, including our spiritual development. And so we're almost out of time. There are those who are watching, as you've seen their names pop up, and folk are saying, I want one. So Taryn is capturing your email addresses. Please send them to tatkinson@afro.com, your email address. There it is. And she will make sure that Natasha gets your email, and that you get the free copy of Natasha's 12-month emotional
wholeness calendar.
Emotional wholeness calendar. It's not just a goal, but it's your emotional wholeness. And all of us are striving to be emotionally, spiritually, intellectually whole, as we were created to be whole. If you're tuning in at the end of this podcast, the end of this show, if you will, you've missed a whole lot of great nuggets that Natasha Paris has shared with us. Natasha Paris St. Amand has shared with us on today, and her journey and how she does it. And you've got some fans out there, I see. She's got some fans. She's been in business for 24 years, did you say?
That's correct.
24 years as a licensed clinician. She does some training, and she lives those principles that she espouses. And so that's always good that she's in alignment with herself. And so we're getting ready to jump on the box. So when we get to these last few minutes of our show, now you can jump on the box, Natasha. Ashley already knows this. You can jump on the box and talk about anything you'd like to talk about, or you can just talk about what we've been talking about. You can do that as well. But it's your time on the box. Your time on the chicken box. That's why we call it the box. Don't be a chicken. Get on the box. Thank you, Dolores. I saw your comment. Thank you to all who've tuned in on today. You've been a valuable part of our conversation. And so, Natasha, you will have the last opportunity to be on the box.
Okay, so.
But not yet.
Okay.
You'll get the last.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to get on the box for a minute, then Ashley's going to get on the box, and then you're going to get on the box. So I'm on the box, everybody. I'm on the box. First of all, again, happy birthday to our co-producer, Impeccable, who's not with us on today. He will be back next week. And so we are wishing him all the best for his birthday. I just want to say thank you to our guest for today. She's been just dropping gems for this last few minutes, and we appreciate that. And you can be well, and you can be whole, and I can be well, and I can be whole. And it's a system to it. If I heard Natasha right, it's just not happenstance. It just doesn't happen. If we just say, I wish, I dream, I pray, and don't put some action behind those wishes and dreams and prayers, then it's for naught. And so we're created to be emotionally whole. There are people like Natasha who are out there who are willing to help each of us. But we've got to be willing to reach out for the help to say, hey, I need some help on how to write these goals and how to stick to these goals. And it may not just be a New Year's resolution. It should be, I understand, if I heard Natasha correctly, we have daily resolutions. We may have hourly resolutions, but whatever we write down, whatever we can envision, there are ways that we can get to achieve our goals. And so thanks, Natasha, for pointing that out. I'm off the box. You're on the box, Ashley.
All right. I would say to close out, we just learned to invest in ourselves, truly. I think we learned how important it is, whether it's to hire a clinician or to watch a good show or read a good book or take a walk, how important it is to pour into yourself. And so in 2024, just make sure that you're taking the time to do that every day. It might be tuning into Chicken Box each week or watching another virtual show or, treating yourself to a dinner or a meal by yourself or a hotel stay, who knows, but definitely take advantage of that. I would also just echo what Dr. Draper said with the Bible verse that faith without works is dead. And so you have to truly take into action everything that you're planning and thinking and feeling to be the best self that you can be in 2024. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll pass it off to Ms. Natasha now.
Thank you so very much. I just want to extend my my humbleness and saying thank you for allowing me to be here to support your viewers and to share some words of wisdom. And the Bible does say in the good book, right? The good book says, "Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world." And so oftentimes we look outside of ourselves for fulfillment. And we look for other things to make us whole. But little do you know that all the wholeness that you are looking for resides within you. All you have to do is tap into it. And so for 2024, I want you to remember 3 C's. You have to have the commitment to say, I want more for me. Second C, you want to be consistent with that commitment. Third, have the bold courageousness to go after what it is that is in you already. Go after it without hesitation and make sure that you are intentional. Because here on the Chicken Box, we are, as I am a guest on the show, and I love you guys' mission. We are, and I say we, right? I say we are here to really ensure that everyone that listens to this podcast, that they leave better than we met them, right? They leave better. And so I want to encourage everyone to know that you are loved. And I want you, and I often say, be empowered for greatness, because without greatness, there's no you. And without you, there's no greatness. So go forth and be your great self.
That is wonderful. So thank you so much again. If Impeccable was on, he would say, call, don't text a senior, let them know that you love them. And we certainly encourage that. Go to afro.com, get your subscription. Sign up for the free newsletters. We need your support in order to continue the mission that we have to get good news out to our communities through all of the sources and resources that God has granted us with. And we know that you heard what Natasha said and took it, and we're going to speak this positively. We not only heard you, Natasha, we're taking it to heart to be committed, consistent, courageous in 2024 to achieve our God-given mission and goals, for truly greater is He that is in us. Faith without works is dead, Ashley, you're right. And He who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. Yes. So God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And as we love to say, don't be a chicken, get on the box. Thanks, Taryn, and thank you all for watching on today.
Thank you.